Welcome to the Worthy of Greatness podcast. I'm your host, Angie Gensler, former corporate marketer turned seven-figure online business owner. Inside each episode of the podcast, you'll discover actionable tips and inspiring advice to help you master your mindset, manifest your goals, and live a truly fulfilled, healthy, and prosperous life. Your path to greatness starts right here. Guys, I am so excited to bring this incredible guest to you today. Joining me on the podcast is Precious L. Williams. She is a 13-time national elevator pitch champion, and she has also been featured on Shark Tank, CNN, The Wall Street Journal, Forbes Magazine, Black Enterprise Magazine, Essence Magazine, and the movie Leap. She is everywhere. And her current clients include Microsoft, LinkedIn, Google, eBay, and more. Guys, Precious is the real deal. She is a dynamic speaker, an effective trainer, and a best-selling author, and I am so excited to have her join us today. So, Precious, welcome to Worthy of Greatness.
I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy, and I love the title.
Oh, thank you.
Want to be a part of that.
Right. There you go. Yeah. I mean, I think we are all inherently worthy of greatness. We just need to realize that, own it, accept it, and go claim our greatness. So Precious, I want to hear a little bit about your business. Tell me about who you serve and how you help your clients and customers achieve greatness.
Well, I'm so love the question. So, my company is Perfect Pitches by Precious, and I literally teach the art and science of the most killer elevator pitches, media pitches, investor pitches, speaker pitches, sales pitches, and interview pitches. And so when I'm brought into, the Fortune 500 tech companies, financial services companies, and real estate companies, I'm really all about creating the type of content that's just different from what people are used to seeing, right? And so I don't do the boring, I don't do what they're used to. What I do is I come in like a breath of fresh air and show them how to really attract the ideal prospects and turn them into clients. So I'm all about teaching people how to bait, attract, and close in their own unique way. So I'm not about you following what big gurus or anything like that. I'm about taking what your strengths are and maximizing them, right? And so when you talk about pitching, how do you get someone interested in you? How do you create your own lane as an entrepreneur, as a speaker, or someone ready to give birth to their next beautiful now? You start right here and you start right now. And so a lot of us, we will look at what other people are doing and try to clone that. And I'm like, no. I want to take every perceived flaw you think you have or what society has put on you, and I want to show you how to use it as your secret weapon. For example, when I started my first company, Curvy Girls Lingerie, I was 327 pounds. No one thought I'd be on television. No one thought I'd get in media. No one thought anybody would write anything about me. I was too fat, too Black, and didn't have an Ivy League degree. Do you know what I did, Angie?
What'd you do?
I came in like I came in like Beyonce. I'm not ready. I'm not the funny fat girl on the side. When I tell you, I created a company, Curvy Girls Lingerie is the ultimate shopping experience for full-figure divas and plus-size fashionistas. And they call me the female MacGyver of business because I always deliver. And in my pitches, I talked about how big the market is with 40 million women size 14 or larger in the United States, just like me. And we all want pretty underwear. That red, hot, sexy, and fresh stuff. And when people would say, well, who are these women? I'm like, I'm standing right in front of you. I know you didn't put me with them, but we're here all day, every day, and we have lives, and we have men and women who love us. And it's time for us to step out of the darkness and into the light. And so putting that out there and not saying for plus size women. So one of the things I work on with my clients is when you change your language, you change the game. If I said plus size women, what would people have said? Nobody would have paid attention. When I said full figure divas and plus size fashionistas, they were like, what? Those are bars. I was like, yeah, I keep going. And so, even when I was on Shark Tank, even when I even became a 13-time national elevator pitch champion, I beat out Harvard, Yale, Stanford, and Columbia graduates, cool tech companies, international companies, because I am vibrant, I'm energetic, and I know my craft very, very well. So I know how to wipe up the floor with people. And my job is a killer pitch master for my corporate clients, for my individual clients, for speakers, successful speakers and entrepreneurs. I show you how to slay all competition with the perfect killer pitch.
Wow. I have goosebumps when you were sharing that pitch for your lingerie business. I was like in like, oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Well, I'm so glad you said that because in the beginning, people did not know what to do with me. And it's funny now, people are like, oh, I see how you want. I was like, do you know when I started, people were giving the most boring pitches? And for me, I was like, I'm not doing what everybody else is doing. Listen, if you want to be like everybody else, you're going to be average, random, and ordinary. If you want to be worthy of greatness, step into it. If everything that people are going to say about you, you're not pretty enough, tall enough, you don't look like people on TV, own it. Own it. Own it. Yes. I'm the killer pitch master. I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm not a transformational speaker. I'm not an inspirational speaker. I'm the killer pitch master. And when you create your own lane, and I do pitches, that's what separates me from being confused with just everybody else. So what's your tagline going to be? And I work on all of that with my clients. And when I tell you, I walk into the Microsofts, the LinkedIn's, and the Googles, y'all know I'm Black on both sides. There's nothing light-skinned about me. I don't look exotic. I am a Black woman from the inner city of St. Louis whose own parents didn't even want her. And so when I tell you everything that's been said about me, every brick thrown my way, I use it to build my empire because there's more women who look like me who forgot who they are. And so let's step into that greatness. We're worthy of greatness. And I didn't want my full figure divas to ever forget who they are.
That's fantastic. I love that. Step into your greatness. It's all about owning it. That's right. Fabulous. So when you are coaching clients, so a lot of the listeners of this podcast are small business owners. And so you and I were talking earlier, they may not think that they need to know how to pitch, to go onto Shark Tank, but really every day they're pitching themselves and people are saying, oh, what do you do for a living? And, myself included, sometimes I struggle. Like, how do I explain this to the average person? So for someone like me and some of our listeners, how would you start coaching them on developing an elevator pitch, answering that question of what do you do for a living?
Well, one of the things that I love when it comes to teaching about how to pitch in your zone of genius is first, what is the problem or challenge your target market is having? Oftentimes what I find is people will pitch how they're the greatest solution, but if your audience doesn't think they have a problem, it's a disconnect, right?
Yeah.
And so you have to truly articulate with clarity, cunning, and precision, what is their problem? So I'm going to tell you how it all started. So when I always had clients, wanting me to teach them how to win pitch competitions. And then I wondered, okay, well, when that well one's died, then what? And then I started putting out questions on social media, like about pitching. And people were like, listen, I can't pitch because I don't know how to speak well publicly. I don't have the confidence, which what told me before people can pitch, they need to learn about having hashtag rockstar confidence. And they need someone who can take them step by step by how to build up their public speaking skills, right? And so think about this. Once you know what the problem is, and that's why I always tell my clients, ask your audience what their real problem is. It's not what you think it is, it's what they're going to tell you it is. So if people can't see pitching because they don't know what you do every day, they also don't know how to do it publicly. So they can't hear me. So I had to create pitches based on, building up their rock star confidence, owning the room and owning the space that they're in, whether it's virtual or physical. And then for those who know how to speak, but they don't know how to get paid speaking engagements, we got to create something for them. And then what is the solution that you offer that no one else does? Yes, there are a lot of sales trainers out there. There are a lot of people who know how to pitch out there, but can anyone show you how to slay all competition? Nobody, but the killer pitch master. Once you do that, I want you to throw in there, give them a little taste of your secret sauce. Throw in some credentials because people don't know. People didn't know that I was a 13-time national champion. They didn't know that I was on Shark Tank, CNN, Wall Street Journal, Forbes magazine, billboards in Times Square, international professional speaker, corporate trainer for some of the biggest companies, and I'm still Black. I don't have an Ivy League degree. Another thing that I want people to focus on is how do you want to start it off? If you start off with your name and the name of your company, that's heck of boring. Come on now. Think about this, Angie. Sometimes I start off like this. Ladies, raise your hands if you want to be a bad bitch with a power pitch. When I tell you women are so shocked, they're like, what? You don't raise their hands. First of all, I want to stop you. I really do. Because if you're used to people saying, my name is this, you're already bored. By the time the 30th person goes, you're not listening in networking events. So you have to throw out a question, a startling statistic, or a quote. You want to hit them hard. And then you got their attention, right? And it's a great Dr. Sherwood says, you start off with a bang and you end with fireworks. And also, don't forget, what is your call to action? What do you want them to do? Do you want them to go to your website? Do you want them to check out something online? Do you want to be able to send them something in the mail? Do you want them to tell them exactly what you want them to do? If you don't, it's a nice pitch, but you need to tell people what you need them to do afterwards. If you need them to book a call, buy your book, purchase your services, check out your lead magnet, be very specific. And that is why I say it's not just in what you say physically and verbally. What is in your social media post? That's a pitch. What's in your messaging, in your email messaging? All of it is a pitch. And when you go into it with that type of knowledge, you're killing the game. So again, let's recap what I just said. Be very clear. What is your target market's challenge or major problem? What is it? Address it. Then show them how you are the number one solution. So throw in that secret sauce that only you can do. Give them a little, you throw in a testimony if you need to. Be sure to have a call to action. And start off with a bang and end with fireworks.
Oh, I love that.
So that's why I tell you all the time, start off with a question, a quote, or start on a statistic. When I used to ask women, ladies, raise your hands. When I tell you women and men would raise their hands, but they was always this, oh my gosh, she said that. Yes, I did. Finally, I would say, fellas, I ain't forget about you. Raise your hands if you want to be a bad man with a master pitching plan. They raising their hands. I'm like, I got you now. Now, I'm going to be honest. Not everybody can take the word that I said. But what I want you all to remember is everybody's never your client. So don't act like they are. The tribe that fits my vibe knows how I get down. I don't say in a disrespectful way, but there are certain women who rock with me. And I'm very clear on when people come at me and ask me questions about that particular word, I can choose to acknowledge it, or I can deal with the target market that makes sure that they purchase my services. And so I focus on them. I don't have time for trolls. I don't have time for people who want me to be something that I'm not. I don't have time for respectability politics. I am a woman who came from the inner city of St. Louis, Missouri, the first in my family to go to college, law school, fully funded, full scholarships and everything, and then pivoted to being a serial entrepreneur, an international professional speaker, a corporate trainer, and 3-time #1 best-selling author. By any stretch of the imagination, I shouldn't be where I am. So when I tell you everything that people said was wrong with me, I used it to show what's right and how I'm just like everybody else. I just use my extraordinary talent to unlock the gift of pitch and speaking in others.
Wow. Precious, I'm just amazed. You unpacked so much value in there. Your recipe for that killer pitch is incredible. But you touched on something at the end there. You were talking about all these amazing accomplishments, and with so much confidence, you just exude confidence, and it's incredible to me. And I know so many times as business owners, we get filled with doubt. We get filled with those voices of, I'm not good enough, or I'm not this, I'm not that. How have you been able to overcome that and create what you call rock star confidence?
Well, the first thing that I had to do was divorce my head of that I had to look like everyone else, right? And I had to sound like everybody else. So if you notice in business, who are the people that they talk about the most? Most of them look nothing like me. Or if they do, they're going to talk about Oprah and Tyler Perry, people who've made it in entertainment. But what about us who've done it in business, right?
Yeah.
So my thing was, my story is just as valid as a Steve Jobs, a Mark Zuckerberg, a Bill Gates, a Sarah Bakley. My story is just as valid, and I have to be able to stand in it, right? So coming from poverty, coming from 2 parents who never wanted me, coming from an environment where I was expected to fail and be in the projects and have multiple baby daddies and kids I didn't want, I decided at a young age that I'm going to do the impossible. And when I was 5 years old, I used to watch Sally Jesse Raphael and I watched Phil Donahue. I know it's dating me, everybody. I'm 42 years old. But I knew I was going to be a talk show host. I knew I was going to make it big. And that's so weird to say at 5 years old when you're told every day, I hate you, I wish you were never born, all these sort of things. I was just like, I had to eat it. because that's my mom. I had to eat it. Did it hurt? Yes. Does it still hurt today? Yes. But the thing that I know is, even if you read the biographies of the very people I was telling you about, they had challenges that most people don't know about because they're only watching what's on social media. They're only getting the positive part of the story. They're not being told about, having to make those hard decisions, having to go against the grain. And I decided that if the best went against the grain, that's what I'm going to do. And so when people told me I was too fat, too black, and no Ivy League degree, well, you know what? I'll make sure the Ivies come after me then, right? Mm-hmm. I am a former attorney, and I used to wipe up the floor with my opposing counsel, wipe them up with not an Ivy League degree. And so in looking back on everything that I had been through, I realized that my story isn't as unique as it sounds. It's just that I kept going. And I had something to prove. I had to prove the God in me. I had to prove why I was born and why my birth is setting the world on fire, because I want other women to know that even if you're in corporate America, even if you want to do all these things, you still can. And you don't have to look like a Barbie doll to do it. You can do this. And Ty Goodwin always says this: when a woman steps into her purpose, another woman can step into hers. And until I put on my big girl panties, put it over my full figure diva body, I came out as a chubby girl wonder in the female MacGyver business, I was ready. And so no matter what people said to me, I had to put on, have you ever seen a rock star, or what I call a rock star confidence? As they age, are they still as beautiful as they were in their 20s and 30s? No. But women still throw panties on stage. Why? Because they're in their zone of genius and they still love what they do. And that's why I want you to have that rock star confidence. I'm 5'9", a shade over 200 pounds. And I know what that sounds like to people, but as people think that's my perceived flaw, it's my secret weapon, because nobody ever sees me coming. And when I come into the room, it's colorful, it is bold as I am. And people are like, wow, who is she? She needs to take a step back. No, I'm taking a step forward for all those who told they couldn't. And so when I'm working with, even the biggest companies are still made up of executives and middle management and employees who look just like me. And so once you get down to the base elements, we all want to be loved and supported and acknowledged. So I acknowledge the God and the purpose in others. And I showed them that when all the other stuff that they've been focusing on means nothing if they can't emotionally connect with their audience. So you can put on that, yeah, I did all those big things, but what I'm most proud of is that I was a severe alcoholic and I was homeless not that long ago. I was homeless from 2017 to 2018. In fact, I walked out of homelessness on September 1st, 2018. And I was told my career was over, but I'm here with you. I'm worthy of greatness today, which tells you in less than 3 years what I was able to do. And that's because I believed it and I trusted in him, who gave me my purpose. I'm a masterpiece with stretch marks. I'm a masterpiece with gray hair. I'm a masterpiece coming in strong, because that's how he made me.
I love that. And you speak about the God in you, the God in others, and how he made you. So how do your religious beliefs play into your strength and being able to continue to persevere?
I think that's just a great question. So before, honestly, Angie, if I can keep it a buck, I used to let my accomplishments speak for me, because growing up, always feeling like I wasn't quite good enough, I always had to go from accomplishment to accomplishment. And you know what? On my 38th birthday, I almost took my life because I had no more accomplishments. The love of my life died, who inspired my first company, Curvy Girls Lingerie. My business partner and I fell out after my Shark Tank experience. Like, it was just a lot going on. And I started drinking and became a severe alcoholic and tried to take my life on my 30th birthday. To my surprise and horror, I woke up in the hospital and was so mad. I was so mad. And when I tell you, 2 weeks after being there and having the proper medication, I woke up and I was like, I'm alive, right? So I had been taking my medication. Wow. And then the reality hit that I really have nothing. But what I didn't count on is God said, no, I always had angels looking out for you. One of my friends, Miss Joanne Francis of Bright Point Health, now Sun River Health, she was a friend of mine. She had been looking for me. She found my aunt. My aunt told her I was in a hospital. When I tell you, she called the hospital. And first of all, she got my entire stay paid for, had them put me on a bus back to New York, got me into crisis respite and into the Bowery Mission Women's Center. When I was in the Bowery Mission Women's Center, even though we were homeless, we were in the best environment, right? It's not a shelter. It's a Christ-centered life transformation program. I did not know God growing up. I was always bitter with how I was raised and stuff like that. But when I was at rock bottom, all that big life with Shark Tank and all of them, I walked in there with a blue dress, a blue coat, and a book bag. That's what my life was reduced to. When I walked into the program, they said, welcome home. And I was so taken aback. I hadn't heard those words in years. So I was quiet at first. And some people knew I was on Shark Tank and all this kind of stuff. And I said, it doesn't matter. I'm homeless. But that's where God had me. And so he rid me of everything, all the people that I didn't need in my life, all the pain, the trauma, drama, and stress. I went to devotionals. We volunteered in the community. We did a lot of things. So I was not running a company. I wasn't the face of anything. I literally was a humble servant. And from there, I learned how to live in community. We lived in a home that was redesigned by Better Homes and Gardens. We had people come in and cook for us. We had organizations like L'Oreal come in and give us makeup and tutorials. When I tell you, I didn't live in a shelter. I lived in a beautiful environment. I learned how to cook. I learned how to be a part of a sisterhood. And so that's where God met me at rock bottom, when there was nothing, no distractions. All I had to do was cook, clean, volunteer, and get to know God on a personal level. And so when I was getting ready to leave and I graduated from the Bowery Mission Women's Center on September 17th, 2018, the pastor of the church, Trinity Baptist, at the time, Pastor James Leonard and his wife, stepped in to say, we want you to come live with us. That has never happened in the history of the Bowery Mission. I came here and I'm still here. I started off on the 3rd floor. Now I have a 2-bedroom apartment in this home. Who does that in the midst of a pandemic? My career was supposed to be over. Girl, when I tell you we 3 times our revenue from 2019 to 2020, stop playing with me. That's what God can do. He rid me of everything. So while I was bitter and upset that I ain't had no money, no clothes, no jewelry, no nothing, he was like, you don't need none of that. I'm going to build you from the bottom up. And all the people that dissed me, those big time VIP and gurus who said I wouldn't be here, now they're in my inbox. That's what happens when you create your own lane. That's what happens when you listen to the God in you, the master who created the masterpiece of who you are. And you remember who you are and whose you are. So when I wrote my books about bad bitches and power pitches, it wasn't a book about BS. It was a book about how I pitched my way to the top again, how I created my own lane. The testimonials that people have written about me, getting into those things was not easy, but that's how I want to show people how to pitch for profit and how to pitch please. When people come at you, pitch please. Pitch with a P, because I played no games. God made me. He renewed my mind and my spirit. So I don't hang with people who give excuses. I don't hang with people who are just playing games. If I see you trying in these streets, I'm gonna rock with you and I'm gonna get you to where you need to go. And that's why I work with successful speakers and entrepreneurs, because once you understand what success takes, it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. I'm a 10-year overnight success story, 10 years. And I want y'all to hear that I'm 10 years. Yeah, I think it was great with Shark Tank. Let me tell you what's greater. I'm 4.5 years clean and sober. I live on my own in a 2-bedroom apartment by myself in the midst of a pandemic. I got those companies to come to me because God gave me the words to say. And that's why I am the killer pitch master, slaying all competition. Nobody does it better.
Nice. So, wow, Precious, as you continue to just keep killing it, slaying competition day after day, do you have any sort of routines, maybe like a morning routine or an evening routine? Is there anything that you use daily to help keep you focused?
Yes. So first, I wake up in the morning. I wake up multiple times a night, girl. I'm 42. You know how it is. And so I thank God for another day. See, I grew up never saying that, but after my experience, I thank him wholeheartedly. And then, as my queen Paula Dice told me, to tell my angels to put a bubble of protection around me that repels all negativity, bad thoughts, and bad energy.
Oh, I love that.
Then I look at my daily devotionals online. And then my queen, Dr. Jennifer Jones Bryant, she has a 365-day devotional. I read the day's devotional. And then I move on to my prosperity group with Dr. Katie Nall. She sends us a prompt every day, and we have to write for 8 minutes in our prosperity journal for that purpose. about what we learned, what God is showing us. And when I say prosperity, I don't mean just financial. I mean prosperity in all things. That's why I have loving friends and family and support network, in addition to be financially stable. And now I'm ready to get the day popping, because I've given God his time, and it really sets the tone for the day. And then I get it started. So then I start working on, I go through my emails. I, make sure that my team has my social media posts together, but I always put in a quote in the morning or something amazing that happened to me between yesterday and today. And then I work on my work. I'm in different not different programs, but in different groups where I'm focusing on whatever the lesson is for that day or that week, getting it completed, preparing my PowerPoints for my virtual trainings and my physical live in-person trainings and stuff like that, making sure I'm doing my business development. And so my days are never the same. Sometimes I'm at home, sometimes I'm in the office, sometimes I'm being flew out like an Instagram thotty to another location around the world. And so I love that my days aren't the same. When I was an attorney, it was always the same. And so I love the degree of autonomy I have over my schedule, but also realizing that when my clients need stuff, it's going to get done. It's going to get handled. So that's what typical days look like for me.
Nice. It sounds like even though every day is different, you're still really prioritizing time for yourself and time for personal development.
Yes, and I had to put that in order for us to 3 times our revenue. Almost burned out at the end of last year, and it's because I had something to prove. And now I've given myself the grace to say self-care is not just getting my nails and toes done; it's also resting. When I need to take a nap, that's what we're gonna do. When I need to do something, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to honor the God in me who just like the batteries on your cell phone needs to be recharged.
If you could boil it down to like 3 crucial success habits that have helped you, become a 10-year overnight success, what do you think those would be?
The top 3 things is, number 1, go to God and pray. And be very specific with your prayer. When I tell you Philippians is my favorite book in the Bible, there's so many juicy nuggets, and I don't even want to throw it at you, but there's so many juicy nuggets. Number 2, make sure you have a strong support network. So if that's family and friends, make sure they support you and you support them, right? When I became vulnerable and said, I'm struggling, that's when people came. When you are so perfect and untouchable, people don't know how to deal with you. So when I'm having a day, I let my peeps know. They send me love, they call, they text, and everything like that. I'm not alone. That's one of the greatest lessons I've learned, is that God doesn't want you to be alone. So let people know where you're at, your trusted network, not everybody, your trusted support network. And number 3, in order to grow in your business and in all your endeavors, make sure that you're a part of groups that are growing, that people are actually making moves. If you're in groups that are stagnant, or you're the bright light, you're in the wrong group. You need to be the flicker to someone else's flame. And that's why I can't stay in groups that I am the person that people go to. Nope, don't want to be that person. I want to learn from the best. I want to learn from people above me so I have something to aspire to. So when I talk about pitching for profit, the reason why I don't work so hard on business development anymore is because I have my people out there who already pitch me for things in places that I didn't even know existed. When I spoke in Halifax, Nova Scotia last year for International Women's Day, remember, I'm Black from St. Louis, and I'm in Canada at International Women's Day. Think about that. Or, filming a movie in Milan, Italy, and Santa Monica, and Malibu, California, and New York. Like, how does a girl like me get into movies with Jack Canfield and Sir Richard Branson, Chicken Soup for the Soul? I mean, how do I do all of that? It's because I knew I never lost the talent for connection and speaking my way into greatness. And 4th, just, as a little aside, make sure your dash counts. From the day you were born to the day you exit this chapter, make sure your dash counts.
What do you mean by that? In case some listeners don't understand, what does that mean by making your dash count?
Have you ever looked at a tombstone, and it'll say from it might say 1967 to 2000, 20.
Yeah.
The dash in between. That's your whole life in that dash. So if you're feeling down, be a blessing to others. If you're feeling down, reach out to your support network and let them help. no matter what, when you're at your most vulnerable, that's when you're going to see that people really do love you. I have no problem, no shame saying I was in and out of psych wards. And I haven't been in a psych ward since 2017. In fact, Angie, I spoke at the Indiana Small Business Expo. And remember I told you about Joanne Francis sent me in a bus, Greyhound, back to New York? Mm-hmm. So I was at the Indiana Small Business Expo in June, keynote speaker, did a lot of press while I was there, was on television and everything, right? So we were having a private dinner at, I think it was called Harry and Izzy's. And I walked out because I needed some air. I looked down the street, Queen, and I saw something that I knew God wanted me to see. In that ride back from St. Louis to New York, we stopped off in Indianapolis, Indiana. And I ate at that Steak and Shake down the road from where I was having a private dinner in my honor. And I said, God, you have taken me so full circle. I didn't even realize I'd been there before.
Wow.
And so when Fantasia had that song, Lose It All to Win Again, I lost it all to win again. And so I don't lead with my accomplishments unless I just give God the glory, the honor, and the praise for giving me a second chance when my life should have ended on January 22nd, 2017. It is now August of 2021. Look at what he did.
Wow. And in such a short amount of time. I mean, really, when you think about it.
Right. And so here I am in front of a Tesla with the butterfly doors, private dinner with movers and shakers in Indianapolis. And he was like, don't ever forget, you were here before. You just didn't realize. And I need to bring you out alone. And I went on Facebook Live and I said, he will take you to, Joe Osteen always says this, he'll take you to places you've never even dreamed of. Imagine me walking out and knowing I had been there before. But before I'm like, oh, I ain't never been to Indianapolis. Oh, this is great. I'm going to go to Indianapolis. No, I had been there before. I was just in the wrong frame of mind. And he wanted to be like, shh. I tell you, he has plans to prosper you, to give you a new life. You know, you're a new creation. And be anxious for nothing in this life. Be anxious. He already got the plan laid out. Even if you're at rock bottom right now, he got it laid out. Don't forget, he is the God of the impossible and the creator of everything. So while you're in the muck and the mire, he'll show you, he'll bring you out and be like, oh, we can laugh about that now. I laugh about certain things that I went through. I laugh about the silliness, people I dated that I never should have, situations that I placed myself in when he told me not to. And I'm like, you know what? Let me get some act right, God. Because you know what? My story, I went from despair to destiny. I'm speaking at TEDx this year, and the theme is reimagine. And I'm telling you, if my life isn't about reimagining everything, that's what he did.
Precious, that you are just blowing me away today. I'm so grateful to be able to have you on the podcast. Before we wrap things up, though, I want to give you a chance to let listeners know how they can get in touch with you, how they can work with you. Because I'm sure after listening to you, everyone is dying to know, how do I work with her?
Well, I'm so glad that you said that. So everyone, my website is on Precious Williams. I'm the killer pitch master, and I'm the proud founder and CEO of Perfect Pitches by Precious. My website is www.perfectpitchesbyprecious.com. If you are a corporation, a nonprofit, or a foundation, you can go to my other website, which is focused more on you, which is www.killerpitchmaster.com. And for those of you who are loving my personality and how I get down, I have a LinkedIn live show called Keeping It Real with the Killer Pitchmaster live every Sunday, unless I am out of the country or training. It's live every Sunday. You will enjoy it. I, do it via StreamYard, so you can catch it on LinkedIn, Facebook, and also my YouTube page. Again, on YouTube, Perfect Pitches by Precious.
Thank you, Precious. So I will make sure to link up to all those links, the social media handles that you mentioned. I will put those all in the show notes, or if you guys are watching this on YouTube, they will be in the YouTube description. So you can connect with Precious that way. So I always like to leave listeners with some action steps. So I would say the first action step would be to absolutely connect with you somehow. Visit your website, go to your social handle, watch your live show, whatever it may be. But do you have any other action steps that you want to leave listeners with to help them really, own their message and become more confident?
Yes. Number one, fortune favors the bold. So I want you to go boldly in the pursuit of your dreams. Remember, God needs no co-signers. When he put that vision and that dream in you, it ain't for nobody to agree with. He said it. I believe it. That settles it. So keep going in the pursuit of your dreams and what he put on your heart. Number two, your perceived flaws are your secret weapon. That's age, race, class, sex, sexual orientation, LGBTQ, differently abled, all of the isms that people use to discriminate. I want you to use them as your secret weapon. Why? They never see you coming. And because they've already dismissed you, you'll blow them away because you're not bound by what they're saying. The Most High has granted you powers that people can't see. And with every brick that's thrown your way, use it to build your empire and to build someone else up who may be struggling worse than you were. If you're able to help women and men in transition, children, offer your time, your resources to people. And if you have friends that are writing books or they're doing things, purchase from them and share it on social media. Please. Everybody doesn't have big names like the big gurus, but you can make your friends and your supporters just as big by your support. Shout them out, do the free things that'll help push them forward, warmly introduce them to different networks, be their champion. And I promise you, they will be yours.
Wonderful. That's fantastic advice. Well, Precious, thank you so much for joining me today. And I'm just thrilled to have you be a part of the Worthy of Greatness podcast and can't wait to see where you continue this journey and how much more you're able to achieve. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Queen. It has been a pleasure, okay?
Thank you so much for listening to the Worthy of Greatness podcast at angiegensler.com. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and make sure that you subscribe to the podcast so that you get access to all future episodes. Now, I always like to leave my listeners with an action step because your path to greatness is paved with small steps of action. So I want you to take action right now and head over to angiegensler.com/podcast, where you can download your free copy of my 3 Days of Greatness workbook. Now, this workbook is designed to help you supercharge your path to greatness and create a business and life you love. Plus, it's totally free, so head over to angiegensler.com/podcast to download your copy. I hope you'll join me in the next episode, and until then, remember, you are worthy of greatness.